If you're anything like me, you've likely seen at least one YouTuber play Ao Oni. Markiplier, PewDiePie, Manly Badass Hero, even some VTubers have played it. It's rather simple. Enter an abandoned mansion, solve puzzles, escape a naked blue demon with a suspiciously plump booty. But did you know there's far more to this series than you may think? That's right, I said series. You see, most Let's Plays on YouTube feature the most widely known version, 6.23, but there are actually 4 different versions of the game, all with their own stories, puzzles, and even endings. So let's start at the very beginning, with Ao Oni version 1.1. Released in November of 2008 by No Props, Ao Oni version 1.1 was created using RPG Maker XP, and so far only has an official Japanese translation. There are a couple of fan-made translations, though I only recommend downloading the one by Memories of Fear, which can be found on their Tumblr. I do want to warn you about the translation found on the Ao Oni wiki, as it has some tasteless and potentially triggering jokes, as well as being just a very rough translation. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's jump right into the original Ao Oni. Unlike other versions, 1.1 starts not in front of the mansion, but in a town. Hiroshi, who is missing his iconic white hair, is walking home with his best friend Kazuya, discussing the new video game he bought, when suddenly they run right into good old Takuro, the school bully. He's a lot more mean and aggressive in this version, which really reminds me of how they portrayed him in the movies, and he insults poor Kazuya before him and his lackeys drag them off to the Oni's mansion. Takuro quickly ushers the boys inside despite their protests, claiming they only play video games and they need to have some real fun. Now, I'm not sure what Takuro's into, but going into an abandoned mansion where someone from our school recently vanished does not sound like a good time. Takuro notes how clean it is inside, almost as if someone really is living in there, and then makes fun of Kazuya for being scared. Megumi, this game's version of Mika, complains about wanting to go home when suddenly a smash is heard off screen. Takuro demands Kazuya go check it out, which Kazuya objects to and even starts crying. Hiroshi can't stand seeing his best friend getting bullied anymore and says he'll go in Kazuya's place. Kazuya tries to stop him, but Hiroshi says not to worry and runs off towards the direction of the sound. Version 1 definitely has the longest opening of any other version, spending more time establishing the characters' relationships. It still isn't very in-depth, but it really lets you feel how much Kazuya and Hiroshi care for each other. Now back to the game, we finally get control of Hiroshi, and begin to see how different the mansion's layout is. We're sent upwards instead of to the right, but we still end up in the kitchen. The source of the crash was just a plate, but before we're able to do anything else, we're sent back to the foyer with Kazuya and the others. Takuro begins telling Kazuya to pay his monthly friendship tax, though I somehow doubt they're actually friends, which unfortunately Kazuya gives to him. After getting what he wants and making fun of Hiroshi, him and his group try to leave, but oops, too bad, the door won't open. And what's this? Suddenly we're seeing the group from a new angle, and with heat vision. Just as this new entity charges towards the group, we swap back to Hiroshi, so we had better go check it out. Just as expected though, no one's there. Just where did they take Kazuya, Hiroshi wonders, checking the front door only to find out it can't open, almost as if it's just been painted onto the wall. Finally, we can begin our exploration. There are many locked rooms down empty corridors on the first floor, with no sight of the schoolmates we came here with. But as we make our way upstairs, we stumble across an open door that leads to a familiar room, with a bed in the bottom corner and dresser in the top left. When we begin exploring, the dresser shakes, and if you've seen Ao Oni before, you know it means someone is inside. It's one of Takuro's lackeys. Hiroshi tries asking what happened, but the boy in the closet is far too shaken up to tell him. Oh well, back to exploring. The rest of this floor and the one upstairs yield no results, so it's back downstairs we go. There was something suspicious with the bathroom at the end of the hall, like there was someone inside. Maybe it's open now. Aha, it was. Alright, let's just drain this bathtub and get the key. Oh, that's not a key. That's right. In version 1, instead of just the library key being in the bathtub, there's also a dead body. Another one of Takero's lackeys. Hiroshi quickly pries the library key from the corpse's hand and runs off, no doubt in panic mode. The library is still in its usual spot, and this is where we get our first glimpse of the Oni. We pick up the bedroom key, and the first chase begins. The Oni's pathfinding in version 1 isn't great, but hey, it was the first game. I've got to cut no props some slack. This chase is unique from all the other initial chases, as there's no invisible timer that runs out. Instead, we have to get to the bedroom before getting caught. Inside the bedroom, Hiroshi finds Megumi, who quickly tells him to lock the door. I actually have to turn around and do so, which is a fun little detail. Hiroshi finally managed to have a conversation with someone. Though it doesn't achieve much. Hiroshi knows he has to keep exploring if he wants to escape, so he leaves Megumi to continue on. One of the bedroom doors is unlocked, and pushing one of the beds aside reveals a trap door. It doesn't lead to a piano room, though. Instead, it's just a small hallway with 2 doors at the end. Now, something I'd like to point out before continuing is that version 1 doesn't have any puzzles. There's no piano, no math, no finding blue pieces and putting them into slots. It's just a big scavenger hunt finding keys and items that help us progress further into the mansion. Now, I love the puzzles in Ao Oni. It really makes the game what it is. But something about this version just makes it feel spookier. You're just a young kid alone in a haunted house, desperately running around hunting for keys to get out. No fun, silly little riddles to help ease the tension. The top room is fairly unimportant, so bottom it is. Just another bedroom. Oh, and another chase! That must mean there's something we need in here. Aha, the attic key. There's a flashlight in here, which in future games is replaced with a lighter, and the part of the game that took me the longest to figure out during my first playthrough. There's a closet in the middle of the room. You can open the door but not get inside. What do? Well, simply shine the flashlight into it and you'll find the study key. This might be obvious to some of you, but I'm pretty stupid, so it took me a little too long to figure out. The study, of course, is located right next to the library, and seems to be rather empty. But if I know Ao Oni, I know there's something hiding behind that chair. There seems to be a hidden switch which moves the giant bookcase to reveal a door. And well, would you look at that? A jail cell. I don't think there's anything more iconic in Ao Oni than this scene. The fact that it lets you pace awkwardly in the cell, unsure of what to do until, bam, you're face to face with the Oni, and have just enough time to wonder what it wants before it grabs the cell bars with its blue human hands and shakes them wildly, only to immediately give up and walk off. But of course is waiting outside to chase Hiroshi. So, we have the basement key now, and after a quick trip to the tatami room, we also have an archive room key, where we find a whole bunch of nothing, just DVDs as far as the eye can see. Waiting outside, however, is Takero. He seems to be low-key freaking out, and of course has no idea where Kazuya is. Hiroshi tells him about Megumi, how she's too scared to leave the bedroom. And we give Takero the key so that he can try talking to her. So off he goes to talk to his girl. Maybe he'll be able to coax her out and we can all find a way to escape together. Or not. Seeing Takaro immediately get killed by the Oni certainly made me laugh at first, but being able to stop and think about it, it's kind of unnerving. It shows just how helpless these kids are, having to run from a disfigured monster more than twice their size that could jump out at them any minute, no weapons to defend themselves. They're being picked off one by one. But I guess Takaro won't be needing a bedroom key now, will he? We finally reached the basement, after yet another chase, which is deathly silent and of course full of more doors. Going through the white door leads us to a fairly plain room, save for the very obviously interactable objects. Firstly, we pick up a shovel, which will no doubt help us later, and a photograph. It depicts two young boys, a man and a woman. Hiroshi thinks this must be a family and slips it into his pocket. And what's this? Underneath the photo was a key to an underground tunnel. Fantastic! Oh no! The chase music starts up and Hiroshi quickly hides in the nearby closet, just before the Oni bursts through the door. He runs over to the desk, only to find the family photo missing, and he seems pissed. I imagine Hiroshi has probably peed his pants by now, but thankfully the Oni runs off, probably to find the thief that stole his photo. This does raise the question though. Who was the Oni in that photo? And assuming he was one of them, how did he turn into this monster? Well, too bad, because we never get an answer. Moving on. When Hiroshi enters the underground tunnel, he feels a breeze, which means there must be a way out nearby. There's a suspicious-looking divot in the wall, which Hiroshi can break open using his shovel. The lattice door key is here, and boy, I wasn't kidding when this is just hunting for keys, huh? It's a good thing we did find it, though, because beyond the gate at the end of the tunnel is a rope ladder leading outside. Hiroshi tells us we should go get Megumi before going anywhere, so time for a bit of backtracking. With another chase. With Megumi in our party, we set off towards the basement and... oh? What's this? It's Kazuya! We're suddenly playing as him, having just woken up in a locked bathroom on the first floor. He must have run in there to hide and passed out from fear. He leaves the bathroom, seemingly dazed and confused, looking around for the classmates that he came here with. He slowly makes his way to the foyer, approaching the front door, which just opens for him with no problems. Kazuya is able to simply walk right out the front door and away from the mansion. Well, hopefully we can catch up to him, but first we need to get Hiroshi and Megumi to that rope ladder. Thankfully we make it there with no Oni chasing us, which is actually rather suspicious. Oh well, now's our chance to get out of here. Or it isn't! Okay, there goes the escape plan. Once again we book it, trying desperately to escape the Oni. When suddenly we're back outside with Kazuya, who's only just realized he left his best friend inside the mansion. Luckily, he doesn't leave right away, giving us a chance to check out the small shed to the left, where we find another rope ladder. Kazuya attaches the new ladder and descends, searching for Hiroshi. Hiroshi runs back to the basement, and the two friends are finally reunited. But they choose to save their celebration for when they get out. At last we can escape using the new rope ladder Kazuya found. And we're rewarded with one last scare. the Oni trying to scrabble its way up. Thankfully, before it can even think of reaching the kids, they run off, not looking back. My head was spinning by the time I ran back to town. I had completely lost sight of that monster. I could never speak to anyone about anything that happened today. No one would have believed me anyway. I couldn't help but wonder, what was the truth behind that mansion? It was all a complete mystery. Come to think of it, that photograph is still lying inside my pocket. So what's the moral of the story here? Well, it's simple. If you ever find yourself trapped in an abandoned mansion with a caked-up blue demon on the loose, lock yourself in a bedroom and do not leave. Wow, wow, wow! Thank you so much for watching my first ever YouTube video. Oh my gosh! Thank you so much for sitting here and listening to me ramble about my favorite video game of all time. I'm hoping to have more videos out of more video games I love, as well as some more stuff about Ao Oni, so I hope you'll stick around and watch those as well.